stop doing E. coli
Yeah.
in publishing it, because you publish it on Thursday, it rains on Friday, and people think, oh, it's clean,
It's
Yeah.
good.
but it's not.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Was anybody else here for the public forum?
Yeah, I thought it was a good idea, so I just wanted to back up Lonnie.
Okay.
And
Great.
And your name, please?
Mary Ann Greeley, I live in Waitsfield Village. You go past my house all the time, even though you don't realize it.
We don't have a
Can
sign-in
it-
sheet, do we?
But Lonnie did all the hard
Yes,
work.
Right.
I'm just riding her coattails, saying it's a good idea.
Moral support. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so that's it for the public forum. We'll go on to regular business, and we have Erin Shea here to talk about a proposal regarding workforce housing at the town gravel pit.
I'll just sit up here because it's easier for me.
Yeah,
just-
absolutely, no,
better for us
absolutely. I
too.
was gonna say, you should sit up here. And there's, some of his drawings and renderings and maps are in the,
It's
Accurate.
super dirty, like, didn't spend much time on it, just quick. But we were working on our last subdivision, and I've known that the town owned that land, and I just noticed that the town was in a butter. And so then I kind of looked at it, and I looked at the land, and we're looking at doing we have the design right now for a decentralized septic setup in the back part of our property, which is on the other side. And so we just kind of were thinking about, I went to a planning commission meeting several months ago, maybe it was even last year at this point, time's going by really fast. And one of the main questions was how can we improve workforce housing? And one of the guys was insistent on incentivizing it with money, and I was like, I just don't want money, give us land and let us do something with it. And then that's what the real issue is. So I saw this piece of land that's sitting in front of the quarry, and I was just like, there's about 11 or 12 acres that cuts off there pretty easily. It's fairly open. It doesn't require a ton of work. It would be and so if you've had a chance to kind of look through, like I said, my engineer did this really quickly. The initial thought that we had was basically just putting in, a town road that the town would obviously have an easement to, that would be to go back to the quarry, and then doing some housing. He threw some homes on there. My thought was probably either duplexes or townhomes. I think that would be able to get more units in. And then if the town were interested in kind of going to next steps, the plan for it would be to keep everything on the property under 120 AMI, which right now I think, last time I looked, it was like 375,000. I haven't looked in a while though. And we haven't gotten into the details yet on the numbers, so I don't want to commit right now, but that would be the plan. And what I would like to do is sell half of them for significantly less than that and have it be qualified and lotteried. There's just a lot of potential, and with the way that we're building, we can be very aggressive on the pricing so that we can figure it out. If it's around 10 acres and we go through the Act 250 process, that'll probably cost about 75 grand or so. We have a similar project we're working on. That's about what it was with engineering and surveying, and then the Act 250 office that gets their piece. So it was a thought that we had, and it just kind of seemed like it might make sense for everybody, and we just were curious if it was something that the town would be interested in discussing further. And obviously we would manage the whole thing, subdivide and do all the stuff you don't want to do.
And are you, as a developer, are you proposing to purchase that portion of the town property, or?
No.
No.
I mean, if I were purchasing it, I wouldn't be doing 120 AMI unless that's why my thought was to be able to put, I did some quick numbers. We could put 20 townhomes on the property. So my logic is if we keep it at those prices, the only way to do it is if we're not spending a bunch of money on that, on the land. So, I mean, I would be open to that, but it's just gonna change and again, this was just a first discussion about it. There's no decisions, if it were a matter of subdividing and purchasing it and figuring out, maybe half of the homes become, second homes, and half of them become, a way to kind of make the money work. But if there was if it was a gifted parcel, it would be much easier to do that.
Or it could probably be,
Or it's
there's like
a dollar sale or
easement or a lease of the land or.
anything. Like
Right.
I haven't even talked to my lawyer about it. It's
Uh-huh.
like, it was just, I just wanted to talk to you guys before I spent
Money
money on it.
Makes
Exactly.
sense. Of
So,
course.
yeah, that's why it looks like this. My engineer doesn't usually do work like this, but when you tell him you want the free version, that's what you get. So yeah, just like I said, if you got, gosh, I'm so used to touch screens. I need a new computer. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at it, but if you look behind the Armstrong parcel there, it kind of connects to our property, and just across there, we have a wastewater design for 25 units that has on the opposite side of the wetland area there. So it just it's awesome soil, it's really great land, and it's perfect for it. And then all we have to do is put in a pump station. You know, I don't think the wastewater will be there quickly enough to make that
Yeah.
work. But it's fine. Like I said, we've already got it basically designed. All we have to do is add a pump station.
And that parcel is abutting off of Center Basin Road. This is you here?
Not the whole way, I wish. No, it's like really just to here.
That's you.
This is us here.
Got it.
So that's where we would put the leach field.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
Again,
Thank you.
very quick and dirty. Just
Mhm.
wanted to see. I don't even know if it's something that's possible. I don't know how all that works, but it just seemed like a good way to get things rolling. And the really cool thing is we just started a building company, so we're building homes at. I'm pricing 9 homes right now, and our prices are just significantly better than anything on the market right now. And if we got things moving, it could be done very quickly. So it's pretty cool. I was actually down in the factory on Friday where they build the homes. It's incredible what they do.
Yeah.
What's your timing on the neighboring adjoining lot? The
To build?
development? Yeah.
We're getting ready to list it next week. We're doing it. We're selling them as they're going to be duplexes, and so we're selling them. They're going to be built to sell to build, whatever it is. And so as soon as people buy them, it's about from the time we write the check to the time people are move-in ready. It's right around 24 weeks.
Wow.
Wow.
And that's using a custom builder who builds multi-million-dollar stow homes to do all the fit and finish. We're using premium builders. There's nothing worse than spending money to build a home and then you get this just crummy finish on it. So everything's going to be built to a really high standard, and we can do it fast and affordably, which is it's really great. They're a great outfit. I've been really excited.
Do you have all your permits yet? I saw-
For
For the, what?
for the
what you're
duplexes?
working on now.
Oh yeah. We're done. We've got it's completely permitted. Wastewater town.
So is this there was just an ad, of our DRB just warned a hearing, I thought, for you guys.
Yeah, it was the 13th.
Okay, so that's all done.
Yep, it's done. Yep. Yeah, that's why I asked. I was joking with JB about a signature. I'm
Okay.
just waiting for him to get me that signature so I can list him.
Start.
Okay.
So basically, we're just looking here, talking tonight to gauge interest and.
Yeah, like I said, it's an idea. I think it's a good idea. I think it works for everybody. But I don't know the inner workings or how any of that would work. It's lawyer stuff, but
Right.
it just seems like it could be a very easy win-win. Add a bunch of users to the water treatment system and some extra tax revenue and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And then maybe have a place for, people who work in the valley to live. So Worthy Burger can stay open.
Right.
And you would be open to restrictions on cost, occupancy, owner occupied, anything like that? I mean, we would not want to, I would not want to, speak for anybody else, kind of suddenly have, it's probably not the place for a lot of second homes, but.
No, we're open to anything. We just, it has to make sense for us. But the intent here is to add workforce housing. And like I said, whether we add 10 workforce houses and 10 open market houses is just how the money works. Like what I would really like to do, and I have not crunched all the numbers yet, but doing a townhome type setup, I think could keep all of it under that, and it can all be restricted. We're just not interested in working with any of the affordable housing. We don't want to build that kind of stuff. It's just not. So we can get the numbers there. It just depends on how it all works. It's a really cool thing to be able to do modular townhomes because, you know, all of a sudden you can do 5 homes with a lot less hauling.
Yeah. How do you define a townhome? For my education?
A multiple duplex. You know,
Are they attached?
they're attached.
Got it.
They'd be in banks. So generally they're in like banks of 4 or 5.
Got it. Okay.
My engineer, I don't know exactly what all that would look like. We've gone through some of the density credits and some of those things, and the numbers kind of work for 20. And we have the wastewater design already ready for that. It would just be an amendment.
And how
Right,
many
but you're-
stories?
yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Generally
So you're
2.
Yeah, and you're sharing walls, so that's.
You're sharing walls, but everything that we do, we're doing with full basements. So they're not finished, but full, so people can have storage or room for expansion, or if they need to add a bedroom or something.
And you'll be on municipal water, right?
On municipal water, yep.
Okay. Alice has her hand raised.
Mhm.
Alice, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just have a question. How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, sounds good. I just was curious what permits you have.
For our other,
In place now for this project.
I don't have anything for this
Not-
project.
Nothing for this.
There's nothing.
No, this is the first
This is
discussion of
This
it.
is a
Okay.
Yeah,
throw the
purely.
spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks.
Right.
Literally, I used that saying as I was walking in talking to my engineer.
You couldn't
You
apply
put
for a
Italian
permit
also.
without
All right,
a
so-
permit.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the state
No
owns it,
problem.
so yeah. But no, it's the permits we were talking about was another property that we have, the abutting property to this one.
But it's proof of concept.
Yeah, it's just like I said. I don't have any problem spending money if I know it's going somewhere. I just wanted to make sure we were like there was some interest and it was possible and that before I put any time into it.
So I know very little about how the gravel pit access works and what that.
I talked to Josh before.
Okay. Yeah.
Josh didn't have. I think he might actually like it because he'd have a road.
Right.
The road that's there, I went and looked at it. It's fine, but seasonally it can be a little tough. So this would actually improve his access. And like I said, it would obviously, if there was a transfer of ownership, it would come with a permanent easement. And my vision would be the town would own the road. It just makes sense.
I've been thinking for a while, before we talked about the fairgrounds, we did a site visit, and I don't know, I haven't been to the gravel pit property since it was opened up, I think. I was there. We've talked about going to the town garage, we did that a few years ago, before I think most of us were here. We should do a road trip
Yeah.
and put this on it and kind
Okay.
of have some conversation
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, and maybe we could do that in September before it starts getting darker.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do that?
Yeah, like I said, I can make it go as fast as you guys would like to. I think it's a really interesting model that a lot of towns could use too.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, we'll do whatever we need to do to make it work. The only, I know there's a little bit of wetland there, but it's not really. We didn't do a full wetland analysis, but it looked okay.
We can work on
There's a
it.
little bit. There's a few trees there that would need to be cleared, but not an extensive amount of clearing. It's a Deerfield wintering area, but there's no showstoppers, which is
Right.
what my engineer did confirm.
Right, there's nothing to stop a
No
project.
uh-ohs, yeah.
And what would make it affordable is the town somehow conveying the land or the use in a way
Yep.
that doesn't encumber a lot of expense for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, we're
Okay,
trying to find a way to make a living and solve a problem at the same time, so we wanna be
That
as
is greatly
flexible as we
appreciated
can.
in its own right.
so we'll plan to do a site visit then at one of our next 2 meetings and we'll be in contact with you?
Yeah, no
about
problem with
how
me,
that
like I
works?
said, I wanted to start the conversation, because that,
Yeah.
like I said, when the planning commission asked what they could do, and then I'm just like, just give me a place to put it, and I'll
Right,
put it there.
And I'll do it, yeah.
Like I said, it's getting financing for it isn't the problem, it's getting a place to put it all.
Yeah,
But anyway, that was all I,
great,
I'd be curious
Thank you.
what public interest is in it too.
yeah,
Because planning commission, conservation commission, general public, road crew would be good to know.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I think the more conversations we have in public, the more
Yep.
opportunity that provides
right,
for the input. Okay,
cool.
awesome,
Cool.
thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, guys, appreciate your time.
Okay, so then we had some follow-up from the local hazard mitigation plan, right?
Yeah, yes, we
Alice?
did. Here, I thought I was done with it, and I've still been working on it for 2 weeks. But just want you to know that Keith Cubbin from CVRPC has sent the package. We have the signature on the authorization from Christine. And the LHMP has gone to Vermont Emergency Management for their review. I believe it goes to FEMA next. But in sending it immediately to Vermont Emergency Management, Waitsfield is now eligible for the 17.5% ERAF funding piece of the pie. So the money that can be accessed goes from 7.5% to 17.5%. So that's a good thing. And then the select board kind of tasked us with following up on the residents along North Facein Road in Shepherd's Brook that had come to our public hearing. And there was a statement at the end of the LHMP that Waitsfield had decided not to pursue mitigation on North Facein Road and Shepherd's Brook. And we were all very confused about where that came from, but it is indeed an accurate statement because it got us on a exploration of what had gone on there. And what we found, thanks to Jen and CVRPC digging in their archives on their servers and some good old Googling, that there were 2 studies done there for Shepherd's Brook area in Waitsfield on North Facein Road. And they were both done in 2017 by Dubois and King and CVRPC. One was a flood study that included that area plus other areas in the valley. And the other was a mitigation study / proposal that was done for Shepherd's Brook, North Facein Road, and for a site in Waterbury. And there was a recommendation, or what might be a mitigation plan, would be to put in a spanning structure to replace driveways and remove undersized culverts there. And really, basically, that was to replace the driveways with bridged access. The cost of what it would involve, again, because this was not a full engineering study, was that engineering study on how to do it, and then putting it in. And the cost for it would have ranged in 2017 from $50 to $400 million. And it was the residents that would be responsible for the match to a grant for that. And the residents at the time, Jen told me in an email, that they just couldn't afford that. So that's where that ended. So,
Yeah,
yeah, that's where the end was, and the non-pursuit of that. So we will rewrite that sentence in the LHMP to reflect that we did look for this, and this is what we found. And then the other thing I've been doing, the thing that we can offer the residents there, and make sure that they are aware of all the grant opportunities Fred woke me up this morning and said, quick, we're meeting with a guy from FEMA. And FEMA came because we have a federal disaster declaration for the county, and FEMA goes around now to look at areas where there had been damage. So we directed them there, and I've been making sure that the residents there are aware of all their grant and funding opportunities, including FEMA funding, funding from Vermont Emergency Management, who has 3 programs they could apply to, and did inform them about the pre-application work that would be due the 30th, and been getting thank yous for them for the information. And Christine, I think Jen Grant told me that you put in for a buyout application for her?
Yeah, the pre-application was submitted for her.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of follow-up.
And JB, through Brian Voigt at CVRPC, found a grant from EWP, which is Environmental Watershed Program, and they have grants and fundings, and representatives from there will be touring. It's really complicated because some grants cover driveways, some don't. Some will cover driveways if it involved a culvert failing. So I'm just making sure they have all the information they need. And then the other thing we can offer them is Stacy Pomeroy, who's a river scientist with the Agency of Natural Resources. She and Jaron, forget his last name, are both very familiar with that area and the way the water flows erratically there and why. And they are willing to do a webinar with the residents and the select board, anyone who wanted to come, to describe what's happening there and how the water flows hydrologically there and why it's such a problem place for even predicting how the water is going to wind up there. So that was the follow-up we did, and I think we've done our best for them, and I think they recognize that. They've been very nice in responsive emails.
Fred, did you have something to add, or?
Well, first, thank you, Alice, for all that research.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
phenomenal. Thank you very much. FEMA was at my house this morning. We did a Zoom with Alice and Claire. It seems that Waitsfield is on the top 5 most devastated towns in the state.
From this past storm, I think, because Facein shares.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right,
Because of the zip code numbers,
Yeah.
we popped up to number 5. Claire's written to them, well, the VEM, to get that corrected
Right, and it's probably impacting more towns' numbers as well.
as well. Yep, yep. So I took the FEMA folks for a ride up North Facein, showed them the devastation, and introduced them to Facein, so they made that connection.
Excellent. All right, is that,
There was one more thing I want to mention, and it's part of the LHMP, and it deals with flood mitigation. Our LHMP identified 4 potential areas along Route 100 that have areas that should be reconnected to the floodplain so that water can flow as it's meant to flow, and mitigate flooding by having the floodplain absorb waters that flow into it or down the slope. And the 3 areas are the Tardy parcel, the bottom of the fairgrounds, and I believe the Austin parcel. There are, and this was actually brought up also by our road crew, there are some berms that could be removed that would do the reconnection to the floodplain. And it would help to mitigate flooding potential. The other one is there is a flood chute by North Tremblay Road. And if you look at the wooden bridge there, the flood chute's next to the wooden bridge. And if you reconnected that, it would bring flow of water away. It would go into the store. It would go, I'm really not sure of everything. So here's the deal. This flood chute is on property owned by the Kenyons. But it would reduce flooding and erosion along the bank of the river there. The thing is that I've worked with CVRPC on the Winooski Basin Water Quality Program, and there is funding that will if we apply the money, we can apply for grants that will fully fund, no match, first the study to see what's there and what should be done, and then second the actual work of doing it once we understand what needs to be done in each location. And this money is all money, it's in a pot of money, that's all part of reducing the pH load that flows eventually into Lake Champlain. And this would also mitigate, again, more, we would mitigate pH flow from these areas into the Mad River, which eventually reaches Lake Champlain. But this money would all be fully funded. And I'm willing, Brian Voigt and Keith Cubbin are willing to put together a proposal and take it to the full, we call it the BWIC, to approve that funding for the town and work towards this mitigation of this floodplain obstruction. And I would like to see if the town is interested in pursuing this with CVRPC and the BWIC.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no money involved.
Yeah, it would be no.
Alice's time.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, Alice's time, yes. Lots of volunteer, another project for Alice to take on as a volunteer, but.
And this one's a fairly easy one. This will take about an hour to put together.
Oh,
It's not like the LHMP.
right, but then once we get down the road, it'll take a little bit more.
Yes, so, and there was one other thing I wanted to point out. The other one,
Alice, before you do, can I ask you a quick question? I think 3 of those are town-owned properties, right?
Yes,
Tardy,
sir.
Austin, Fairgrounds, Tremblay is
Kenyon, she said.
Kenyons. Got it. Thank you.
so we would ask Kenyons
Yeah.
for permission. We thought it was town property at first, but it's not. We have a more complicated issue that I believe was brought up from Facein a while ago, and we have a slide on the Facein side of it's
Mill
Bragg
Road.
Hill Road.
M-
What?
Bragg Hill Road, but it's the
Bragg-
Mill River Brook.
It's
Which
Millbrook.
road? Not off of Bragg Hill.
Bragg Hill Road is in danger of
Right.
slipping into Millbrook.
Yeah,
Essentially, that's
Right,
the short
that
story.
slide on that side.
And it only got worse after this last
Yeah, I'm sure.
flooding.
and the issue is if it slides in, it's going to cause a erosion. It's like it's going to hit the toe of the underside of the bank where the river, where Millbrook takes that sharp left turn, and that can affect flooding and blockage to Waitsfield. So it's kind of a dual thing. We've been in the talking stages of this. Fred's brought it up for a while and has pictures. The first thing that really needs to happen, again, is to have Stacy Pomeroy and Keith Fritchie and river scientists. It is actually a slide that is listed in the slide database for Department of Environmental Conservation. So it's been identified as a problem since, a geologist at Norwich University did a study on it many years ago. So it's been out there for a while, and you can see the dirt is just sort of continuing to pack down and come down from Bragg Hill as they keep having to stabilize it, right, Fred?
Well, there's topsoil with trees and grass on top of clay, which makes up that bank.
Yeah.
So now that it's started, once that topsoil gets wet, it's just like a child slide. It just
Yeah,
slips right
so
into
two
the,
surfaces that are different.
and, yeah, Facein, it's right on the town line. Facein is
Right.
somewhere.
Yeah,
You can't really see it very well now, but as soon as the leaves are off the trees, you can see it
so
fairly well from Route 17.
take a look at that in our travels as well.
Put that on the road trip.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right,
We can't have river scientists come, and they do want to come and look at it,
Yeah,
because
but let's wait until the foliage is off,
Yeah.
because you can't see it now from Route 17.
okay. Oh, there's Anne Marie, she's back. Okay, so we get to move on to, thank you, Alice. We get to move on to the Wade House lease and the user agreement review, and then I think also the rent proposal is in there as well, right, Anne Marie? You ready? You're muted if you want to speak to this at all. Give us an update.
Okay, well, my name is Anne Marie Harmon, and I am the chair of the General Waite House Commission that was just formed. It's not even 1 year old. And one item on our to-do list that was very, very important is to come up with a lease that was up to date and more applicable to the needs of the town, and to balance the needs of the tenant with the needs of the town. And Fred took this on. Bless you, Fred. Really appreciate your time. And it's included in the packet. This is our draft office lease agreement here. And then Fred asked me if I could draft up a proposal for the actual increase in rents. Now, just for background information, rent has not increased for the tenants for at least a decade. The town didn't feel that it was really fair to raise the rents on the tenants without actively restoring the building and making the very important repairs.
Can I actually?
But as
Anne Marie, I just want to actually, I don't know that the town
Yeah.
actually felt that we couldn't raise rents, it just wasn't done and nobody dealt with the property. So I don't want to say,
Yeah.
it didn't happen because of this, it just more likely didn't happen because nobody was dealing with it. So, sorry.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, this goes back to also the task force that was assigned, and we have Larissa with us. The over a year time spent with monthly meetings evaluating this. So even at that time, we realized that the tenants were getting a very good deal, but that's also town-owned property, and they are mostly nonprofit organizations. So now that we have actively been completing repairs, we felt that this was an appropriate time to take a look at increasing the rents. And if we did, what would it look like? And it involved getting the square footage for each of the spaces and listing what is the current rent, and also taking a look at the direct expenses. The direct expenses that you see here, I gleaned from information that Jennifer Peterson sent to me. It's not 100% perfect, complete. For example, we have just signed a contract with a pest control guy that comes in there on a regular basis, and that's not included there. Also, the cleaning expense, it says $6,400 there, but that changes from time to time. Also, supplies, the amount of supplies, that changes from time to time. But generally speaking, you can see what the town spends. The total, annual total, is around $19,000. And the town has been receiving a little over $12,000 in rent. So we have not been covering the direct expenses. Now, I want to put in here that my goal was to cover direct expenses, not repairs, because, and this can be up for discussion, but it's our, my personal take on this is that the commission is formed to fundraise. We have a long-range committee that is set up to do fundraising, and I'm in that committee, and the long-term committee is willing to raise money for the repairs of the Waite House, and this keeps the rents down to only covering direct expenses. Now, increasing the rents to cover the direct expenses for some of the tenants is quite a significant leap. So what I'm proposing is that and whenever the select board decides whether it's September 1st or January 1st, that's up for the select board to decide. But for the first year, to take the increase and cut it in half so that the tenants do not suffer from whiplash, that we are gently bringing them up to speed.
Can I
Now-
interrupt you to ask a question here?
Sure.
Before, you have under annual expenses, Waitsfield Telecom, but then under utilities and taxes in the lease that you specify that the landlord will not pay for telephone expenses or telephone service?
I believe we pay for the
Well,
Wi-Fi.
that's a
I believe we pay for the Wi-Fi, but not the individual telephones in the offices.
At $2,500 a
It's-
month?
It's
don't think-
internet.
You're telling me we pay over $200 a month for internet? And is there a public sign-on?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if I go in there and everybody that works, every office there has their own private internet and sign-on and password, that's not, like, if the town's paying for internet, then I should be able to go over there and get on the internet, I think, as a member
Sounds
of the
fine with me.
public.
Having it be a public Wi-Fi hotspot
Yeah.
Right.
sounds great.
Other than-
Absolutely.
Otherwise, I think, that's part of the cost of doing business, and all these people can pay for it themselves.
And not for nothing, if you have people who are renting the space who are not already tenants there, having Wi-Fi available is a real plus if you're trying to do anything that requires connectivity as part of
Yeah.
your activities.
Um,
So,
Yeah,
Yep.
so I think we should verify that though. Who's getting charged what?
Okay, it was in the list that Jennifer Peterson gave me.
Okay, right, but
As
if
an
she's paying
expense.
Waitsfield Telecom $2,500 a year, that could include the Wi-Fi, is my point. It's all one bill. I get one bill from Waitsfield Telecom, that's my internet and my phone.
Mhm.
They don't differentiate, so I'm guessing that's what's going. It covers it, over $200 a month is probably phone and, I don't know.
I mean, if it's fiber optic, that is actually about.
I don't know, mine's $60 a month. I don't, we'll see, but,
There's several expenses there that we could look at and see if it could be trimmed. We just got this last week.
right, but I know that one of the tenants called to upgrade the Wi-Fi. And that's,
Yes.
one, not okay, and two,
Yes.
that should be their charge.
And that is
One
so,
of the tenants just called Waitsfield Telecom and said that up to.
yeah.
Well, so, but
And the lease that we just drafted has a clause in there
Yeah.
that says, if you do, you pay for it.
Yeah.
If
well,
you,
it's-
if you spend any money on goods or services without our, or the commission's approval, you own that bill. And that's in the new lease.
Right, I mean, it's interesting just from the perspective of telecom, because that their agreement's with us and not the
Mm-hmm.
lessee. All right, sorry, go ahead, Anne Marie.
so you said by half.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Yes, okay, so, for example, the Mad River Planning District, their current rate is $271 a month. Their square footage is 240 square feet. So when you multiply 1.25 by 240, that's $300 a month. So what I'm proposing is that for the first year, their rent not be raised from 271 to 300, but raised to 285.
What is, like, if I were to go out and want to rent a commercial space, what would I be paying?
Between $1 and
Are you-
$1.50
In
per
my-
square feet?
Yeah, in my brief research, and this is something that I invite the select board to do, it's between $1 and $1.50 a square foot.
And does that usually
And-
include all utilities and expenses?
No, it's
Okay.
all over the board. No, it does not usually include direct, those expenses.
Okay.
So-
Even that rate of $1.25 to $1.50, that seems really low.
Low.
That,
It's very low.
no, but you're saying that's kind of the market rate in Waitsfield? That seems
Yes,
really-
But
they charge $1 a square foot, but the tenant would pay for their own propane and electrical and,
so it
et
would
cetera.
be more along the lines of, I mean, $1 a square foot's probably like warehouse space that's not finished, I would guess, like not an office space, but it's more like $2 a square foot when you include heat and everything like that.
Wow.
right.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
my math was coming from the perspective of what would it take just to cover the direct expenses.
And I
So I'm
So is the
Sorry.
General Weight House Commission acting as the property manager as well? Was that an accurate understanding?
To an extent.
To an extent, because I think
when it comes down to negotiating and talking about the leases with the individual tenants, I think it should be done right here.
but if I am a tenant and there's an issue, who do I call?
The commission.
The commission. Is there any information in here on how they do that?
All they know, they have a seat on the commission where they can,
All of the tenants do?
they have a rep.
A seat.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a shared seat.
Okay. So I think just making sure that they know who they can talk to, because I don't know why the person went to Waitsfield Telecom, but if I am remembering, it was a couple of years ago, but there was a lack of confidence in the town's ability to address needs in a timely fashion.
Still not justification.
Oh, I totally agree. Not justification, but I can understand why someone might have just decided to do it themselves.
Right.
Well, it's
but
not the
this
first
isn't-
time.
Yeah, but this isn't like there wasn't internet. This was like the internet isn't fast enough for me, and I think there's a differentiation.
Okay, fair enough. My
Because
point
this-
is that I want to make sure that people know who their point
Right.
person is, and it sounds like that is
And
clear in a way
that's-
that was not clear to me.
Yeah,
That's
and that should be in the lease to make that clear moving forward.
Yes, just to clarify that, Larissa, the commission is made up of the tenants, but they alternate who is there at the meeting. And whoever is representing the tenants at the meeting, they take the note. They're the secretary. And since the commission has been formed, the tenants have pretty much on a regular basis been meeting for lunch every Tuesday, so that they have now communication like never before.
great.
And they really have been able to speak as one voice with their concerns.
That's encouraging.
Yes, I would say everyone but the Historical Society. They've been meeting on a regular basis, to be fair.
So tonight, you're looking for approval of the lease language and the barn permit use or building use.
That still needs some work.
Okay, and then also the rents. And I mean, I have to say, some of these rents, I'm inclined to just pull off the Band-Aid and go up.
That was my, no, that was my reaction.
I think if we're
Yeah.
asking for a security deposit as well at the beginning of a new lease, that's going to be a lot of change really, really fast.
Yeah, and
And this is just a suggestion,
right.
and these are drafts.
This is just a suggestion to have the Band-Aid. And I also wanted to make another clarification on this Band-Aid proposed rent. I made a mistake in what you see before you with the Historical Society. Currently, the Historical Society, they rent 3 spaces, but they don't pay. They don't pay for it. And I'm proposing that we continue to give them a free space for the museum, which is 275 square feet, free space for an archival storage, which is 150 square feet, and only charge for the office, which is 250 square feet. And that would be $312, but because they don't pay anything now, to cut that in half, to cut the increase in half would be to cut the entire amount in half. So I propose only raising their rent for the first year at $156 for the first year. And that will give the Historical Society an opportunity to rally around of this new reality, and by a year from now, they'll have fundraising and membership, and and things that they have not had in the past. And I realize that they are probably not going to be thrilled about this, but I have run it past several of the new board of directors, and they feel that the time has come where it is appropriate for the historical society to have been. Now, I do want to mention that the historical society has had no rent for 25 years. So if you take 25 years, times it by 12, just a minute, Alice, take 25 by 12, that's 300 months. And if they had been charged for the $312 for the last 300 months, it would have been $93,600. So the townspeople have, in effect, been supporting the Historical Society.
That's totally incorrect.
For
That's totally incorrect.
That's totally incorrect.
That's
Yeah.
Well,
the-
okay, the Historical Society, they have been contributing to the building, there's no question.
They were a
Fortunately, it
significant,
hasn't,
I believe they were a significant contributor at the outset in purchasing the property.
yes,
and raising funds,
$50,000.
and maybe more than that.
$50,000 they raised. $55,000,
First
okay?
of all, Anne Marie, I wouldn't make a statement that you've gone in front of the board of directors for this. I've in fact
No,
asked
I,
that to go on our agenda.
I didn't
That's
make
not
that
false
statement,
news.
Alice. I stand corrected, that I asked several board of directors. I didn't go before the whole board. Thank
And
you for
that's-
that clarification.
And the other thing is, and I gave Fred a copy of this, we have documentation from going back to 1991 through 2019 and a bit more recently, that there are contributions that the Historical Society has contributed to the upkeep of the house, and we can come up with $78,294 worth of funding, purchases, renovation of the carriage barn, which the Historical Society did, and made it what it is today. And we just paid for the tree removal and have paid for sign expenses over the years.
How much,
So we
which,
can come up with,
before the chamber moved out of there, how much space did the Historical Society have?
They had Beth Kendrick, so 320.
Right, but did they have the archives and the museum as well, or just, they had the
Yes.
museum
They had the museum.
and Best space, but not the archives or the office space?
No, what they had was they had the 275 front hall. They did not have the archive space because the archive 150 and the office were both a part of the chamber. So what they did have is they had a portion of what the Friends of the Mad River have now on the upper floor, and they had Beth Kendrick space.
And that's
So
480
there,
square feet.
yes.
Okay, because I did go back and look at, I think, some records as well too, and it looked like, the chamber was paying $650 for that space. And then when Beth took the Historical Society space, she was paying $300, so it's basically a loss of $350 a month.
What
That
the,
makes- Huh?
as I understand it, what the Historical Society originally had was 480 square feet. They switched and moved downstairs, and between the three offices that they now occupy, they're occupying 630 square feet. So obviously, what was gifted to them, they are now exceeding by 150 square feet.
If they had Beth's office at 323 square feet, and they had the Historical Society Museum, which is unchanged at 275, that's 600 square feet.
That's what I just said.
So, huh?
But you're saying that's what they had
Beforehand.
originally.
And
You
you're,
had a
and
lower
now they
number.
have closer to 700.
If you count the museum,
Right,
I get.
but,
And, the museum's always gonna be there.
yes,
That's really owned by the town. And I'm not saying that the Historical Society will pay nothing. Because like I said, we haven't discussed this yet.
well, I
But-
think for the museum, they probably should pay nothing.
Yeah,
Although the
But-
museum was really,
I
it was
agree.
designed as a public space as part of the visitor
Yeah.
center. And that's, now that it's a private museum in a way, it's very limited, there's limited access to it.
Yeah, it'd be nice if it were open more.
and
concur.
we've been
I mean,
discussing
the
that.
chamber was there and there were eyes on on people in the room.
I concur.
And it's a thought that's come up, Fred and I have discussed, having the museum open more often and, how we could staff that. Now, whether we need that office or not, we haven't discussed the extra office or not. We haven't discussed that. I mean, you do want a space to have the, historical archives. It's very important to membership and the older membership.
And the mission of the
Right,
Historical
that's what a
Society.
historical
Yeah.
society does.
But it
Yeah,
is
that's
true that the Historical Society expanded into
Right.
office space.
Right, and that move basically left us $350
Yep.
Right.
down per month. So,
And is there any record of that,
Yeah.
a decision?
yes,
So they did, select board signed off on it at some point?
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Said they could move down there. And I did look, and before, yeah, I mean, best space is $300, and I saw that the chamber was paying $650 for the space before, so.
For the same space.
For the same,
Yeah.
no, for the space that the Historical Society uses for nothing now. So we ended up, the rental income went down $350 though, because of the change in the arrangement. And then on top of that, when the Friends of the Mad River and the Vermont Land Trust were sharing a space, and I believe when the land trust moved out, they just stopped paying rent, and the Friends of the Mad River did not assume any of that rental obligation. So again, we lost rent.
The society expanded into office space that
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
don't think they ever got permission for.
No, I don't think so either. So honestly, I mean, I think it would be more than fair for the planning district, the path, and the Friends of the Mad River at least to see an immediate increase. Not immediate, I mean, I'd give them a couple months' notice.
Yeah,
But
but I think
I-
dropping this on them September 1st does not feel good to me.
And I,
No, they need 60 days.
I'm on the
Yeah.
board of the Friends, and we know we're getting a really good deal. And I'm on we've actually talked about it at the steering committee of the planning district, and to anticipate a rent increase, because they know
Yeah.
they're getting a good deal.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it for a year, so even like 60 days or 90 days notice, I think is fair.
I could see waiving deposit
Yeah.
for existing tenants.
Yeah.
And not for future tenants. I mean, they've pretty much proven themselves.
Right. Was there's in two places it says initial deposit of 500 and says a security deposit of 500. Are those two separate things, or is that
I'm
I think
sorry.
it's the
one
same.
and the same? Talks about payment of an initial deposit of 500 and then also asks for a security deposit of 5.
Oh, yeah, that's redundant.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds
but
redundant.
they do need to, the key situation needs to be fixed. We need to have access to the spaces. And if they don't wanna provide a key, we'll go ahead and rekey it and charge them for it.
Who doesn't want to provide a key? The Historical Society?
I think there's more than one tenant that's not provided a key.
I don't think we have any keys to any of those
We,
offices.
some we might, yeah,
Because I looked for the Historical Society key the other day and we don't have one.
okay.
The town should have just a master key.
Everything should be re-keyed.
Yeah, because we don't know how many keys might be out there.
Exactly,
Great.
exactly.
All right, so we're waiving the security deposit for for current
Yes.
tenants?
Yes.
For existing tenants? And is there any sort of specificity on, I mean, it doesn't matter right now, but what that security deposit is intended to cover? Will it be held in escrow? Where will it live? Does it matter?
Which to cover
Unless-
any potential damages or unpaid rents.
I think we should probably specify that in the.
Well, that's what a security deposit is. Okay, whatever.
All right. So what do you need for, are you ready, are you looking for the select board to approve these changes tonight? And approve the lease changes, or?
Yeah, let's move ahead. I'm sorry, Anne Marie, I didn't mean to speak for you.
Is that, and then also,
Well, I did want to mention that there has been no discussion with the tenants
okay,
about this. So I have put all of this together with the intention of being fair and logical and minimal, and I'm sure I'm going to get some kickback from various tenants on this. So I'm leaving it up to the select board. Would you prefer that I bring this up with the tenants first? Or are you ready to approve this proposal tonight and ready to discuss the rental increases with the tenants themselves? That's my question.
I think we ought to give them a heads up before
I-
we take
I,
action.
Yes.
yeah, I think it's fine to give them a heads up and say that probably looking to do this for January 1. And
That sounds
that
fair.
gives you a month to have the conversation, and then we can, at the end of September, basically provide 60 days formal notice. Does that make sense?
Okay,
So
okay, terrific. So,
the.
okay, so terrific. I will,
The end of
at the next commission meeting, which will be held on September 9th,
Okay,
put it on the agenda, and we'll present that the select board had tentatively approved the proposed rate increase, and that the town would like to have the half, the gradual increase for 90 days, is that what you,
no,
No,
no
what you
half,
want? 90 days, not a full
no.
full year?
No half increase, full increase, effective
No half, okay.
January 1,
Full increase, okay.
right?
So essentially, the
Does
effective
that
date of the
include
new lease
full
is January
increase?
1
Correct.
at the full $1.25 a square foot.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah.
And that will give
okay.
the
Does that
commission
include,
time to prove that they're responsive as
I'd be more
Okay.
likely to give the Historic Society a chance to figure that out, but
well, that was my question. Does that include the Historical Society starting out with $312 a month
In my view,
in
yes.
January?
Yeah, and I mean, I think they can weigh in
yeah,
if they have concerns about it. I think we ought to let them,
Yeah.
all the tenants look at the rents and the lease, and then approve it in September with their input. You know, we might make changes.
yeah,
And it
Yeah,
may be an outcome, maybe they don't want to pay the 300, so they give up the office space.
yeah,
Mhm,
exactly.
yeah.
mhm.
And that,
We will be, we have a meeting in October
okay,
to, and we can discuss this full directors in October at our annual meeting about what we would want to do. I just didn't want people to feel that the society's done nothing to contribute towards for many years,
Yeah, they've done
since
a lot.
90.
They've done a great job.
Who's the board now, the Historical Society?
Lois, Bob Burley,
Kathy.
Shirley Vians, Kathy Meharon, Alice, Bridget Ritchie. and myself.
Bridget,
Yeah, Bridget Ritchie. And
Kitty,
Kenny Warner and myself.
And then, did you have some specific feedback for that permit for the Waite House use, for the barn use?
Before we go there, I had some specific comments on the lease that maybe it's easier just to share directly with one of you, and I apologize, I'm looking at it late. I
Is
know
it
this-
more like wordsmithing or
It's,
substantive?
uh, some of it is,
well,
uh,
before,
I'd say it's
if
good.
I can
Hold on,
interrupt,
Anne-Marie,
before,
Let
Yeah,
Chad
be-
finish.
I think it's
please.
beyond wordsmithing, and some of it has legal ramifications
Yeah.
for the town. So I could, if we have this in a Word doc, I could
Fred, I think,
suggest,
sent it out. as
suggest
a-
edits, that's what I thought, yeah, and just send them around.
Okay, so do you have this in a doc you can share?
So-
Okay,
In fact, I think I already
I
have
think
it.
you already have,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay, great. Go ahead,
But
Anne Marie, sorry.
Let me give you a fresh copy. Let me
Okay.
do it again, because I have gone in and tweaked.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, yeah, because I might have a few things too, and
Oh,
can we do
yes.
track changes so we can see what we're doing? Yeah.
Yeah. No, this was meant to be edited. So could we have that?
no, my comment was, my input was on the actual rent increases, and it was Fred's draft of the leases, and so that's what I wanted to point out. So if anyone else had any other questions for me, then I could now be excused.
I think we can, you're good, thanks, Anne Marie.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
This is a difficult
night.
process.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
This is a difficult
I think we're
process.
making-
no,
we're going through.
I got my marching orders, and I think it's really, very reasonable on the part of the select board. And it gives the tenants an opportunity by the September, which meeting will you put it on the agenda, just to be clear? Will it be your second meeting in
It
September?
would either be the
or your
second
first?
September meeting or an October meeting, because that still gives us 60 days.
Okay, great. So I will let them know that if they have any questions, they could bring it before the select board when it will be on the agenda.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Anne Marie.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Oh, Anne Marie? Anne Marie,
Oh, yeah?
where are you anchored?
Yes?
Where are you anchored?
Oh, Valcour Island, Butterfly Bay.
Oh, beautiful place. Enjoy.
Thank you, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, so the use permit, we're
Okay.
gonna go through that as well, or?
Yes, if you want to, but,
Or we can do it in track changes if that's
Okay.
easier, more
I-
convenient. Let's do that.
okay, this is, what I've printed here is the latest and the greatest. What came in the packet has been edited already a few times. But I
The
can,
whole harmless.
yeah, I got that.
Okay.
I got that. Yes, I know.
I was very
I know.
confused. Okay.
Yeah. So I can send that, the latest draft,
That would be great.
which would be V2, out tomorrow for edits.
You have dogs shall be leased at all times, but honestly, one thing I want to say is that if people coming in to use the barns on a kind of temporary basis, I'd be less likely to say dogs are okay.
Dogs are okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing when you have people that work in an office that
Yeah.
have their dog there from time to time, but I don't, especially, and I think the insurance, people have to have insurance to use the barn as well.
Yeah, isn't that not mentioned?
Well, this says if no, request for a permit may be rejected. On the front there.
Yeah,
Is proof of liability insurance attached?
permitted organizations will be responsible for the insurance of their organizational and/or personal belongings, consumables, or anything that belongs to the organization or persons associated with it.
Okay.
That's under rules. Insured.
Okay, so then you're just saying that for the permit application, they don't necessarily have to provide it, but they would have to provide it before they use it.
Unless you want to specify something different.
Okay, no, that's all right, just, I might want to make that clearer.
It's, like I said, it's a draft.
All right.
Let's edit it and make
Mhm.
sure that we're all comfortable with it.
And then my other question too about people using it is kind of allowed uses and zoning.
So if we're in ag res, or if it's in ag res,
It's the village.
it's in the village, okay. So then I don't know what the zoning, I know that
Yeah.
if you're in ag res, you can get a zoning variance for the adaptive reuse of a historic building as a cultural facility, because I am actively researching that myself. But I don't know what.
Right, I'm just saying, like, say you have a summer camp that you're operating out of the barn,
Yeah,
you normally would
hypothetically.
need to get a permit to operate a summer camp, correct? Like, if I wanted to operate a summer camp out of my house, theoretically, I'd need a permit for that. So you
I don't
don't have carte blanche, there's a process that you'd still need to go through. I think we need to
Okay.
make clear to people.
Be interesting, we should look into how the building is permitted. Because
Yeah.
it might be like a community facility broad thing that allows for different meetings, I'm not sure what it is.
Is the not-for-profit designation a matter of there being a different usage fee if it's not-for-profit, or is that just for,
Possibility.
okay. I would highly recommend if you're doing that there be a standard usage fee, and the opportunity of a discount
Yeah.
for a nonprofit
Well,
rather than
that's
different
something
rates.
that isn't even addressed here.
Okay.
What do we want to charge for usage of it? I didn't even get to that.
Okay.
I don't know what would be reasonable. So I'll send those two documents out again and
Okay.
freely edit and send them back to me.
Okay,
Sounds
great.
good.
All right, then we will move on. This is brief, the letter of support for Down Street Housing. That was, they are putting this project together and they just put the letter together for us and asked for a signature, so I did want to include it.
I don't understand the second sentence of the first paragraph.
This
Well,
project
don't-
Oh, and it should read, and it is on Down Streets,
Okay.
I assume.
Okay, so it would be like 5 additional units on a
Ms.
place that
yeah,
already has
has
24.
24.
Okay.
We could just strike the word and I think it would read fine.
Yes,
Okay, so it would be
So-
an additional 5.
yeah, so we could take out the and.
Supportive of signing it though, I think it's great. They can redevelop that or provide additional housing.
Okay, so then we just would need a motion approving the letter of support or authorizing the
Yeah,
signature.
I'm an abutting landowner, but I have no problem with it, I don't.
Okay.
So unless somebody thinks they have any, I'll make the motion to approve it with the correction.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Oh, Josh, you can.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's everyone. Then we have the ESA agreement for the wastewater engineering services.
Mhm.
And this is, they need a signature so they can get started with the
Yes, so
next phase?
this is similar to what we've done before. This would be an amendment to the existing engineering service agreement with Du Bois and King. That would be authorizing them to move forward from the 30% design phase, which they're completing now, to the remaining design, 60, 90, 100% design. We had a prior conversation around a potential funding gap to cover the expense, and right now that expense is about $600,000 additional engineering to get to 60, 90, and all the way to 100% design. That gap has been filled, fortunately, by ARPA, by a state award, DEC award of additional ARPA funding. We talked about that, I think, in executive session months ago, and it was in the paper a couple of weeks ago. So that's great. There was, we've been told, we don't have the paperwork yet, but we've been told multiple times from multiple people at DEC that we are getting $1 million ARPA award specifically for this purpose to allow us to move forward with the final design without a gap or a pause or a delay. So that is awesome. Again, what we're asking Select Board to sign is an amendment to the existing engineering service agreement to cover the additional cost of that final design phase. And there's a timeline in here that would allow us to complete that in a timely manner to then tap hopefully additional ARPA funds prior to the kind of ARPA use it or lose it deadline of end of 2026.
Do we know when for sure we might get the ARPA money?
Well, we do not.
Or even a commitment letter,
I was
because it's
gonna say
really, and
something in writing.
I mean, I kind of want to put faith in all these government organizations that the money's just gonna come our way. But I would hate to be in a situation where we commit to this $600,000 cost and then the money gets held up.
Yeah,
And
it's a
we
good-
don't have the money to cover it.
Yes, it's a very good point. We are told that they're drafting that agreement now, and that it will likely include additional ARPA money, which is great, but we don't have it yet. We don't know how much additional, et cetera, but we have, in writing from DEC and verbally from a number of them, like, you're getting some ARPA money, which is great. We don't have the actual agreement. With Du Bois and King, we have signed these agreements prior without the specific funding formalized yet, with the understanding with Du Bois and King, and it's in this engineering service agreement that we can turn them off at any time. So if we sign this now, they start work, it's a year plus, year and a half scope of work. They're not going to spend $600,000 tomorrow. Worst case, maybe they spend $100,000. That would be on us if no further funding came through. We do qualify, should qualify for, and have applied for existing Clean Water State Revolving Fund grant money. That's capped this year at $100,000. So we should get that. We've gotten that the last, for the feasibility study and the 30% design. There's no reason we shouldn't get that again. We meet all the criteria. So that, that would also be there. If the ARPA fell through, we'd have that. And then we have our own ARPA money. So it seems unlikely Du Bois and King is going to spend more than we would be able to cover with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund grant and or our own ARPA money, of which we have 200-ish remaining. So it seems like a low-risk proposition to allow us to kind of stay on track for all these funding deadlines, and turn it off if the ARPA grant never materializes.
All right, so then we'd be looking for a motion to approve a signature on the amended agreement.
I'd move that we sign this.
Really?
I can,
Oh, sorry,
Okay.
of course I got it.
I can second.
All those in favor?
I
All right.
have one quick further update, which is less positive, and that is the congressional direct spending for money that basically congressional earmark that we had applied for through Welch and Sanders. We did not get. Was that?
We didn't get either?
We didn't
or-
get either. It's becoming clearer to us, as this is now the second time around, that our amount of money we're requesting is kind of an outlier. Everything that's been approved has been in the million and a half range or less. We've been, initially we were encouraged to apply for 10 million, we didn't get that. Now it's 5 million, we didn't get that. I think we absolutely can reapply and will reapply, but we'll likely dial it back to a smaller amount.
And the one priority list and designated funds, wasn't that updated?
Yes, the state DEC, their intended use plan, IUP, that has the priority list ranking, that was updated. We got a higher ranking given the progress we've made. And were, quote, awarded $5.25 million roughly of state, state and federal funding through the
Different
state
number.
IUP. What's that?
So I thought I saw a different number than that came through Tom,
Oh,
what's his name?
yeah, that came through Friday
Friday.
afternoon. So the draft IUP had the 5.25. We got a letter from Tom Brown at State Department of Environmental Conservation. I'll get there.
I knew what you meant.
With a much higher number of $14 million. We've reached out to him. It's not clear whether that is a grant or a loan or some combination thereof. Best case, and that's all grant money, like hallelujah.
Right.
Let's go. I'll get my shovel. Let's go. We're just not sure, and I don't want to set that expectation to anybody that listens to this tape.
Okay.
We don't know, and aren't getting our hopes up that it's all.
But it could be
Big.
good news.
Yes, it was. The state does have. They have discretion for projects that are, quote, construction ready, and that's how he framed the letter. Was you're getting like the construction money, meaning like you're ready to go.
Okay,
So,
Hence the shovel.
all right.
yes.
So- Right. Okay. We're good with that then? So we have follow-up on policies and ordinances. It sounds like nothing really happened with them last time. The personnel policy I had updated with the requested updates that people had put in. And then what I had done with we had the dog ordinance and the animal control ordinance, and then I separated those back out and took the model ordinances from the LTC. There was language in there where I had highlighted that we could it was kind of funky. The one was like the noise part of the dog. So it was like if there was barking for X number of minutes, you could pick a number.
Or like a number of violations
Yeah, and then
within a 12-month period.
yeah, for
then-
whatever reason, I'm not having luck with the internet here tonight. And then I thought, after going back and reading the select board priority piece, I think one piece of the animal control officer is really working on that job description and how we want that to operate. Just as much as we can update the ordinances, but I think that's also a piece of it.
The job description is enough to scare anybody off from
Yeah,
applying to be the,
yeah.
and are we talking about a dog warden and an animal control officer? Or one doing them both?
One doing them both.
Yeah, I think that's best.
Right, so they would be responsible for enforcing both those ordinances. And then I realize now that I'm talking it through, probably there could be changes to the job description based on some of the statutory changes that took effect on July 1 that related to, it was the part of the dog ordinances that had to deal with animal treatment, animal cruelty was one part of it. Like that came out, unless you have a police force that's enforcing those laws, you're not gonna, that's not applicable to you anymore.
Yeah, that's correct. And also for the town health officer. He is no longer she is no longer the humane officer.
Correct, but would have, the town health officer still has a role to play when there's a dog bite.
Yes,
Because of the health issues associated.
Because of
with
rabies,
that
yes. As far as writing tickets, that is a system that we haven't yet to set up here.
At some point, people were writing tickets. Maureen wrote tickets and Bob Tracy, I think, both wrote tickets.
And I don't know if they did it legally.
So we do have to be registered with the Vermont Judicial Bureau, whoever does it.
They have to be on appointment orders, as such. And I will tell you, I don't know how an individual can write one of those tickets. It's very procedural. One thing out of line, the judge can immediately dismiss it. And to get the information from an individual to fill out the ticket could be problematic. It's one thing for a police officer to stop you for speeding and demand your registration and license. But for a dog violation, for an ACO to walk up and ask for your license or proof of ID could be rather touchy, problematic. Just to let you know that the ticket system does have challenges for us.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think we'd be more, there's the fee that you pay if you're not gonna contest the ticket, and then the fee that you could pay if you're gonna contest the ticket. So I think the hope would be that people would just pay the compliance fee and move on.
Just,
And then also just get the message that,
we mean business.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so it was the disturbing the peace for a dog that disturbs the quiet, comfort, and repose of others by barking, whining, calling, or howling. And that was the model policy said for like more than, you had to put in another number of minutes.
A sustained period of time.
So I changed it to a sustained period of time, it's probably too objective. So, we would have to have something specific in there, the waiver fee is what it's called.
What counts as a sustained period, do you think? I'm trying
I
to
don't-
think
well-
the last time I was bothered by a dog and at what point I.
Sometimes 5 minutes is more than
Yeah.
enough.
More than half an hour? More than an hour?
Law Insider Dictionary says it's 20 minutes or longer.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
So we put something like that in there. And then with the domestic animal ordinance, it's how many times. If the owner has violated the provisions of this ordinance X times during a 12-month period, any domestic animal may be sold at auction, impounded, blah, 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 blah. So it's, how many chances are you gonna give somebody? 3 strikes?
It's within a 1-year period.
Yeah.
Historically, have you seen somebody complain about the same dog more than 3 times? Or cow,
Animals?
or animal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, well, that's, I think you have more
Yeah,
on-the-ground experience than that.
yeah.
We have examples of dozens of complaints about the same dog.
Oh, stack of papers like this.
Mm.
And that particular one isn't the only one that I've had repeated conversations with.
Are we ready to approve the personnel policy, at least? I don't know.
Could we put them on the next consent agenda?
Sure.
And that way, just everybody can take one more look at them, and if there's anything, we can pull it off if there's something
Sure.
that's minor.
All right, and then we have our roundtable. If anyone has anything to share?
Well, while I had FEMA with me today, I stopped down to the bridge, and even though he was doing individual assistance, not public assistance, I did show him the bridge. And he thought it was a tired bridge. And as we were standing about a third of the way across the span, a 1-ton pickup
Oh,
went
God.
through. 1-ton pickup isn't a big truck, but it's,
So you feel it?
well, it bounced the bridge so much that he buckled his knees and had an expletive. Other than that, I don't know, a couple of words. I've never seen that bridge bounce so much. And it was only a 1-ton pickup. And it was dualies, but still, it just sort of, he wasn't speeding particularly. But when he hit the bridge, the whole thing just vibrated. And I've never noticed that before. And it caught his attention. I'm concerned, I don't know if the state has looked at that yet or not, but I'm concerned with corn cutting coming up within a matter of a few weeks. That's probably the heaviest usage loads that go across that bridge.
DeFreeze uses those
Yeah.
big tractors, right?
Yeah, big trucks, and corn is, when it's first chopped, is very,
Wet.
very
All that
wet.
moisture.
It's probably the heaviest loads, I would guess, that bridge sees all year.
And aren't farm vehicles?
Well, I don't even know if the fire truck would exceed the weight to go across there.
Right, but some vehicles aren't subject to a fine.
Yes, that's true, But I'm just saying, the weight of the vehicles going across that bridge in its compromised situation, I'm a little concerned about
Yeah,
it.
I'm concerned too, yeah. I mean, if we have a situation like we had last time around and the bridge were out, we got issues.
Yep. Yep.
So, and I think it's just continuing to communicate with the different
Do we-
representatives of the different agencies and CVRPC and see what we can do moving forward.
Has,
So-
I don't believe
I haven't-
V-Trans has been out to take a look at it,
Who,
thought that-
or have they?
I don't know.
I thought Alice said that they did, or maybe I'm misremembering.
It was on their
I
list.
thought they did while it was being detoured through there.
I don't
It was
know.
either CVRPC or V-Trans might have been there.
I know
can't remember.
CVRPC was there.
Okay, that might have been.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Keith was there and looked at
yeah,
it.
I think we're getting it on people's radar though,
Okay.
so. At some point though, I think we're gonna have to,
And there's a hazard mitigation grant.
there, I'd have to go back. So there was like one grant that the planning district had flagged for us that needed a pre-application, and then there was, and required a match, and then there was another one that Alice mentioned that might be a better fit. So I'd have to go back and figure out which one that is.
Well, for the short term, it might be worth a call to V-Trans and see where they are on that inspection.
Um, One thing that I had is I had just been in contact with Josh Schwartz about the RRFB, did I mention these? And moving the radar feedback sign, and we've now are talking with the District 6 garage about some of the sidewalk stuff as far as, well, road sweeping, cleaning, and those storm drains. So we've got a conversation going.
Why didn't they sweep this year?
I think they were slated to do it in July,
But something else happened.
and then other stuff
Oh,
happened.
they've
And
been
they,
busy, have they?
and we did get them to, he did get them to come down and paint the crosswalk by the school, but that was
One
like
crosswalk.
all they did.
That's the
Yes.
only one, yeah.
So we're now dealing with like getting in the queue for next year and how best to
And
handle that.
do we have to move the sign? Or just V-Trans do that?
The RRFB or the radar sign,
The radar sign?
so that was the whole, like, he and I were trying to figure out the history of this thing. And that was part of the holdup, was that we have to relocate the radar feedback sign when we put the RRFB in. But the radar feedback sign is like hardwired and dug into the ground. So then I think it turned into this, we gotta put in an RFP for somebody to relocate it. And V-Trans did give us a couple ideas of where to place it. I have spoken with Josh about it, and I think that the easier thing to do might be just to uninstall what's there now. And there are now like radar feedback signs that you can just screw into the signposts that have all the, you know, there's like the holes that go up, and you can just mount it right on those. So it would probably be a lot easier and possibly cheaper to just get a new
Install
sign.
and then reinstall, so that.
Yeah, could that, like, I could go out with a screwdriver and install, rather than digging holes and stuff like that. So we're working on it, because the grant for the RRFB expires in April. So, we just need to figure that out.
Can we install that and just store the radar sign until we figure it out?
That's the thought. Yeah, is like get it out of the ground,
Yeah.
stuff it somewhere, install, because I think the newer RRFBs are like the same, where we could probably mount it on the existing sign that's there for the crosswalk, because there is a crosswalk sign, and then I'm guessing we can, the state V-Trans, somebody from V-Trans identified a couple other the feedback sign could go. And I'm guessing it would be, yeah, it's definitely gonna be easier to get a different one, possibly less expensive. All right,
I had a quick question,
yeah.
just before we move on. There were notes in the agenda last week, I think from you, Christine, about a couple of things. There was like an easement for John Donaldson, and
Yes,
and then there was also about re-obligating ARPA funds and that
Yes.
missing, or we couldn't, I think Sandy wasn't able to find paperwork, and she made a recommendation last time that we do something specific that I'm now blanking on.
so what's happened is that, so what happened was at the, we had the April 29th meeting that I wasn't here for, where I know that was when there was some truck rental or some, maybe the excavator rental. There was something that Randy had that there was an agreement that needed to be approved by the select board, and he was like printing it out last minute.
Yes.
Also, in there was a resolution, at a previous meeting, we had like committed the remaining ARPA funds. There was supposed to have been a resolution in the consent agenda saying specifically what line items in the budget those funds should be designated to. Nobody ever saw the resolution
Right.
that we passed. And then the money subsequently didn't get moved to the right lines. So right now, what we're gonna do is wait for the audit, which I think is next week. And Sandy's gonna ask the auditor what we should do. So we
Got it.
might need to
Okay.
redesignate, in which case, we might need to like find actual expenses that we know we can pay for. Like, one of the things we've been talking about is like prepaying the lease on the grader type thing.
Okay, but there's nothing there's no action that we need to take in the
Not
near
yet.
term, because we're
No.
gonna have feedback from
Right,
the auditors.
we
Okay.
will have to we will likely have to take action, you know. And then also right now as we get towards the end of the year and we've kind of designated funds towards these groups that, with the kind of the smaller grants that we've given out, we want to make sure that they're getting us their invoices, because if we've designated money to them and then they in turn end up not using it and we find out too late, that's just lost money.
Okay.
So we need to kind of find out where we are with the money that we've designated to the smaller groups. And then there's also some that's coming back to us, like the Children's Center
Right.
closed and hadn't spent all their money. So the actual amount that we need to designate and spend
Has
is higher
changed.
than what we
Okay.
thought. So. Was that everything?
That
Okay.
was just, those were the two things that popped
Okay.
into my head.
Great. All right, so then did anyone have any issues with the consent agenda? All right, so we'll consider that passed, and then I think we need an executive session for personnel at least, if somebody would like to make a motion.
I can move that we enter executive session.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.